Hey everybody, this is Erica, the technology nerd who likes to film stuff, and today is the Galaxy S4 release day. Yes, I'm going to be unboxing this in just a second. I just came back from the AT&T store. These guys are the first ones to have this actual phone. So I'm going to go and unbox it and compare it a little bit to the HTC One. I also have some cases. And then I am also interested to see if the Galaxy S4 does have the dreaded black clipping problem. So let's go and check all that stuff out. So I have to thank the Carmel Mountain AT&T store for hooking me up with this Galaxy S4. This is the black version. They explained to me that this little stripe here would be white if it was the white version. Also, you can see it says 16GB black here on the box. It's SGHI 337, made in Korea. So let's go ahead and move the HTC One out of the way. I actually have the Galaxy S3 with me as well. I actually have it as a customized red version with an Iron Man matte back cover, just in time for Iron Man 3. So we'll take a look at all this stuff. Let's go ahead and put that aside. Going ahead and pulling this sleeve off. It's interesting that this pretty much matches my floor. What I'm really liking here is that on this box they have not included any tape on here so you don't destroy the box while trying to open it. Get that back cover off. Some nice quality cardboard. Got a quick start guide. And the Galaxy S4 here. Let's go ahead and peel this plastic off here. Right, and peel off this on the screen as well. It can wait. No texting and driving. Now this back cover is called Black Mist. And it has an interesting kind of squidgy feel to it. I was really excited that they decided to release a black version right off the bat because they finally released the black version for the Galaxy S3 at a later time. So yay, finally another black phone for me. There is a bit of a sticker right here. Same thing on all the sides. I would see a lot of people actually leaving those on because it does give you a bit of a protection. It's actually got a bit of a protector on the lens as well. That's nice. I can just leave that there. Okay, we're just going to open this back cover up. Now it's really nice to see that this battery compartment is quite big compared to what we have on the Galaxy S3. Let's go hunt for that battery and other such stuff. Some more packaging. Going with that whole cardboard looking motif. Some stuff I'm sure I'll probably never look at. Now you've got a sync cable. Now I'm curious, I want to know what the size of this guy is because I'm really appreciative when I have a long one. Yeah, actually that is quite long. You've got a nice 6-foot looking cable, so this is perfect if you are sitting on the couch and charging your phone. So thanks for that, Samsung. It was quite nice of you. Got your common headset here in white, so there is no difference between the black version and the white version. You're just going to be getting a white headset. And you've also got your earpieces here for different sized ears. The charging brick looks just like it did with the Galaxy Note 2. I also find it really nice that just like with the Galaxy Note 2, they're giving us a 2 amp charger instead of the 1 amp charger that they were giving you with the Galaxy S3. So it should also charge fairly quickly, which is really awesome. One thing that I can say about the HTC One right off the bat is that it takes pretty long to charge. So looking at the fact that there's a 2 amp charger here and the fact that this guy charges quite slowly once it gets to 80%, this guy is going to be charging a lot faster. So that's something to keep in mind right off the bat between these two guys. Whee! I found the battery. This is 2,600 milliamp hours versus my Galaxy S3 battery, which is 2,100 milliamp hours. So that's really nice. You've got a 500 milliamp hour change here. That's quite a beastly looking battery. Now with the screen being a little bit bigger than what you have on the Galaxy S3 at 5 inches, and also having 1080p, it's really going to need that extra battery. So I'm sure over the next couple of days I'll find out to see what the difference between the Galaxy S3 is in battery life and what it feels like on the Galaxy S4. So it looks like there's nothing else in that box there. Let's set that aside then. Here is our Galaxy S4. Let's see how much juice we have in here. Go ahead and pop that in. I'm going to install the SIM card and a micro SD card later. I do see here that this has the ability for inductive charging, so that's really a nice feature. I'm sure I'll be getting my hands on that at one point. Where'd my back cover go? Ah, yes, here we are. Go ahead and pop that on. feels really secure. Now, I've just had a good chance to give this a good look over, and I can say that I am quite pleased with the quality control on this phone. Everything looks like it was manufactured and milled or molded or machined to precision, so it doesn't have a look of being cheap. Also, even though it is all plastic, yes, the sides look metallic, but it's plastic as well, it is a very sturdy feeling phone, so it does not have a feeling of being cheap to me. Now, I'm really big on quality control, and one issue I was having with the HTC One is that the models that were just right out of the gate upon release, it seemed that HTC was having some issues with quality control. Now, by itself, the HTC One is known for its phenomenal build quality, but the problem is really with the quality control. It seemed that a lot of the release models had issues with the plastic, and there were some issues with getting the metal speakers here to sit flush on that plastic, so it had quite a few rough parts, or there would be gaps, or the plastic looked quite cheaply made to where you could see that the plastic was cut out and not very well, or the plastic was uneven in places, and it just didn't give it that premium look that I had associated with it when I had gone to MWC. They had handpicked those floor models, and those were perfect. So getting it and seeing the plastic looking really edgy in places and rough and just kind of cheap really didn't make me too happy. So I am happy to say that the Galaxy S4, even though it is all plastic, does at least have good quality control and everything looks like it was put together to precision. Let's go ahead and power this guy up. See how much battery we've got. Let's give it a second, see how long this takes to load. Okay, we're just going to set this up real fast. We are restoring now. I'm just getting it all set up. There's nothing new here. I'm really liking in the setup tutorial that it's letting you see all these features to begin with. You have your S-Beam, you've got your Air View, you've got your Air Gesture, you've got your Smart Stay, Smart Pause. I'm going to turn that on. That's a really neat feature. I'm going to see how that works out in these next few days. It seems like it's something that'll be more hit or miss. So I'm definitely going to be checking all these features to see if they really give this phone a quality or if they're more or less just gimmicks. Easy mode is for people who don't know how to use a smartphone, like my mom. And we've got Adapt Display. Adapt Display is supposed to be taking cues from the ambient light so that it can figure out how to change the display best for your viewing experience. So thank you, Samsung, for making it easy and having all these features at startup for you to deliberate and decide whether you want to use or not. And there it is! This is just classic TouchWiz. This is Android 4.2.2. So I'm going to have quite some fun having a chance to check all that out. If you want to see what my first impressions were, you can check out the link in the description where I was in New York and playing around with this guy. So I already do have a first impressions video. So really the next thing I'm going to be doing is comparing it in full to the HTC One and then doing an hour-long review. I know that sounds really insane, but I think it's worth doing. So here we have the Galaxy S3 right next to the Galaxy S4. Somebody on my channel, somebody had commented, oh, the Galaxy S4 is just too huge. Not really, it looks just about the same size as the Galaxy S3, yet it's just a little bit thinner, and it's just a little bit taller as well, but otherwise it doesn't feel too much of a different phone. For a lot of people that's going to be a downside because it doesn't really look like a different phone. People wanted something new. But if you're used to the way the Galaxy S3 feels, the Galaxy S4 isn't going to be all that much bigger in your pocket or in your purse, so you don't have to worry about that. One of my complaints when I was at Samsung Unpacked was that I saw that the speaker grill isn't at the top anymore, it's now at the bottom, and that is kind of worrisome sometimes because some people can block that with their hands, so I'm going to see how that really works out, if there's any obstruction of that speaker in any way. So really, the only thing that looks new on this guy is this infrared gesture sensor. You have your LED right there for notifications, but this gesture sensor is what's letting you roll your hand up the phone so that you can scroll through selected content. There is absolutely no doubt about it. This swipe feature works really, really great. So I'm just simply moving my hand over here, and I'm not having to do it in any deliberate way. Just as long as your hand hits over this sensor, it works out really well. So it's kind of like a magical, mystical way of moving your hand. So indeed, this does work quite great. Already with having a chance to look at these two phones, I'm seeing that the HTC One just looks like it's a lot higher resolution. This is an incredibly high resolution phone and the screen is absolutely gorgeous, but it still is of a certain type of pentile arrangement. The pixels now look more like diamonds or octagons, and they've been smooshed closely together, so it looks like that's how they've been able to achieve a higher pixel density. It's very difficult to manufacture HD resolution AMOLED displays. So that is one thing. This feels like it's a faux 1080p, and this actually feels like a real 1080p. But of course, it's going to be a little bit hard to compare these when this has the highest PPI of any phone in the market. Now, as per both of these guys, the HTC One is just a little bit longer, but the Galaxy S4 is just a tad bit wider. The Galaxy S4 is just a little bit lighter than the HTC One. As for how they feel in hand, I've got itty-bitty tiny little hands. My hands are just shamefully small. But I really do like that rounded feeling in hand that the Galaxy S4 has. It doesn't feel cheap, so it's actually quite nice. Although I do have a soft spot for the way that the HTC One feels in hand. There's just something about this phone that every time I pick it up, I absolutely love it. Does it mean that I like this plastic stuff that they have in here? Because it's really quite bad, especially the color of it. It looks almost like a yellowish in comparison to the white that it's supposed to be. But otherwise, I think the winner for me in hand right now is the HTC One. But as far as convenience for turning on and off the phone, I have to give it to the Galaxy S4. A lot of people get really grumpy about that. That's something that I didn't realize people were going to get so upset about, is that, look at this. I'm trying to turn it on. There we go. I've managed to inch my way up the phone. That's a real problem for some people. They want to be able to easily access that power button. So I'd say that that's another thing with just simple usability, just those small details. It's definitely more easy to turn on and off the phone, and it's also easier to access that volume button. Although the volume rocker is not so bad on this phone either. Both Samsung and HTC have smartly placed their infrared blasters at the top of the phone. That's really nice and convenient when you're just wanting to change channels. This is something that I would actually use, so I'm quite happy about it. I have been hearing that the Galaxy S4 does not have image stabilization when filming. That is something that's really a pity because videos are going to look quite shaky, whereas I do have a video example if you want to check that out also. Check out the link in the description. You can see my video test, my first video test with the HTC One while I was driving in the car down a hill, so it was testing out the sound quality, it was testing out how it dealt with certain ambient environments, and it was doing quite well with image stabilization. So I'm going to have to do that same test with the Galaxy S4. Now, I will be making a full comparisons video between these two phones, and I can probably give you an idea of which one I really like better. If HTC can fix the issues with the camera, I really do have a favorite here with the HTC One. I just really love the pixel density on this phone and the fact that it's not AMOLED, because AMOLED displays seem to burn in over time. So I will see if I really do change my mind on which of these phones is my favorite. The HTC One will remain my favorite for now, but once I get to that full comparisons, I will tell you what I think after that. Now, I've got a couple of cases here from Spigen SGP to show you. This is a flip cover type case. We've got the ultra thin air case and a really nice leather type case. I am finding the actual build of the Galaxy S4 to be a little bit of an issue for cases. So you can see here that these cases, these nice rigid cases such as the ultra thin air case, have a bit of a ridge right here. This is what's holding onto the phone and keeping it in place, but the phone has its back cover in such a way that these ridges catch on it, and as I'm trying to get this phone out of this case here, it's actually pulled the back cover off of the phone, so that's a little bit concerning for me. I'm afraid it's going to break the phone. Hold on a second. You can see here that this tight fitting ridge here really did pull off the back cover. So as compared to the Galaxy S3, the back cover was more or less out of the way. And it was also of a curved type nature, so it wasn't uniform, so that these clips on here, or this ridge, could actually get caught on that. So I don't think that's a design problem with the case itself. I think that's more of just a bummer with the phone. Yeah, so this potentially makes a really great case, except for I'm afraid with cases like this, these hard-fitting cases, that I'm not going to be able to get the phone out without tweaking that back cover or causing some other issues. But I'd say that cases where you don't have to pop the phone into it so that the edge will go up and over it should be all right. So I think cases like OtterBox cases will be just fine for this phone. I think that pouches like this will be just fine for this phone as well. There's also cases that slide in from the side. I've seen a lot of Sadio cases that do that. It will slide in from the side here, and will join at a point in the back. I think that is going to be your best option for cases. Either that or a nice silicone case. But otherwise, I think this is a really nice case. I absolutely love Spiegel's ultra-thin air cases, but I'm a little bit scared. This one's fine. This one is more of a TPU type case. It's more of the really hard plastic ones that are a little bit concerning to me. Now, what we have here on the Galaxy S4 is Gorilla Glass 3. I'm really curious how this is going to hold up against scratches as compared to what we have on here. This is still Gorilla Glass 2 that's on the HTC One. So I will be keeping this without a screen protector. Spigen did provide me with screen protectors as well, but I just want to see how this guy holds up for the next few days. Now, for this moment, my last impression between these two phones is that the Galaxy S4 seems to be a little bit smoother when running games. I don't know if that's a driver issue or something else with the HTC One, but it's definitely a lot smoother on the Galaxy S4. I've been seeing quite a bit of jitteriness on this exact same game. This is Granny Smith, and also while playing Temple Run, Wizard of Oz, I had noticed that the Galaxy S4 is just noticeably smoother. So we will see if the HTC One catches up, but I have to say that the Galaxy S4 takes it for smoothness for right now. Now I want to look at some of the behavior of these two different displays. We have the Galaxy S3 on the right, and we have the Galaxy S4 on the left. Now the first thing I want to say is that this is the Snapdragon version of the Galaxy S4. I can't say for sure what is going to be going on with the Exynos version of the Galaxy S4, so just understand what I'm trying to show you right here for right now. On the right-hand side is the Galaxy S3 displaying the same thing as the Galaxy S4. This is supposed to be a nice gradient going from gray all the way down to black. This is a gradient that's most representative of what you're seeing in shadows. So this is the darker part of a gradient. So just say that you are watching a dark movie and you have a lot of shadow in it. It's supposed to be a nice progression from 21, like you're seeing here, all the way down to 0. But as you can see here, Samsung decided to say that after 8, you're not going to see anything. So that becomes stupidly frustrating in a scene where half the details are darker than 8, but instead they're just black. So you don't know what's going on in that scene anymore. You see faces and then hair and clothing and everything's just blacked out. So, a lot of people were pissed off and frustrated and were asking me, is that the same thing with the Galaxy S4? Is that going to be a major problem with the Galaxy S4? Well, no, actually not. That's something that looks really nice for right now. We are looking at the image inside of Samsung's own gallery right now. You can see that the Galaxy S4 is okay until it gets to 3. Then 2 and 1 are blacked out, and 0 is supposed to be blacked out anyway. That means that the Galaxy S4 by itself is showing just a little bit of black clipping. It's nowhere near this. It doesn't look anything remotely close to this. So some things in the scene, the darkest of the dark things, are clipping a little bit, but honestly, it's not bad. Now, the one thing that I do notice that is annoying is that if you are watching a movie and you're not keeping the brightness at least above halfway, the image starts to look really odd if you have it on the lower end of the brightness. So Samsung has different behaviors going on depending on the brightness, and for some reason, once it gets to the lower brightness, things just start to look really bad. It was the same with the Note 2, but I'm seeing that it's actually worse on this guy. So just keep it above half brightness and things look okay. And the clipping really should not be so much of an issue. So thank you everybody for watching. This has been Erica the Technology Nerd who likes to film stuff. I will definitely be continuing with my comparison of these two devices once I get a better feel for the Galaxy S4. So if you have any particular questions, please ask them now. That way I can pay close attention and answer them once I get to the in-depth comparison between these two. So have a good day, everybody, and don't forget to check out the links in the description for the other videos that I had mentioned earlier. Goodbye!